Hello and good evening and welcome to another one of my technical videos. Now, as you can probably see from the cleaner we have here and the fact that I'm in the kitchen with all the lights on, the workbench lights on, which means we're going to be doing some work on a DC04 today. And one of the comments that I had on when I did the big mess test, and somebody left a comment on there saying that they love their DC04 very dearly, and unfortunately after 10 years it blew its motor, and this person was looking on eBay at replacement motors for these, which you can get for around about 20 quid, and didn't feel that she had this technical expertise, or maybe anyone in her family might not have been able to do it, to replace the motor in a DC04. Now, replacing the motor in a DC04 is very similar to replacing the motor in a DC07 and a DC14. They're very similar. There's a few small differences in doing it between the models, but essentially the principle of it remains the same. Now, when I had this machine, I paid £5 for it, and if I just show it in detail here, I mean, we did the big mess test with this the other night, and I was quite impressed with its performance. But I couldn't remember at the time what motor I put in this machine, or whether it still had. I can't remember whether I actually changed. I think I did. All I know is that when I bought it on eBay, it was about £5, and it didn't work. And one of the reasons it didn't work was because the cable had got damaged here on that joint. So I think what I had to do was, the grommet was okay, but the cable had actually split internally here where it went into the machine, which is a common problem with these. And I would have either shortened the cable, or I'd have put another cable off another machine on it. I may have put another cable off another machine at the same time. It's been a long time ago now, I can't remember exactly what I did with this, but all I know is that was the main reason it didn't work. I can't remember whether the bearings were noisy in this and I swapped it for the one in a DC07. But what I'm going to do is we're going to take it apart and sort of a step-by-step process. And I haven't taken one of these apart for over 3 years, so I'm going to have to remember how I did it myself. I can remember roughly how I did it, but we'll have to do the video in probably more than one part. In fact, it might be as many as 3 parts. It just depends on whether it's awkward with me or not. All I know is it was a little bit awkward the other night doing the... I did a clutch replacement job with it. Showed how to take the clutch out, but I did it in there. And then really I should have done it in here, because there's better light in here. It was a bit silly doing it on the living room floor. But for taking a motor out, it's more disassembly. So we're going to be doing it on here, and I want to see what motor I put in this, whether it still actually has got, I can't remember whether it was the YDK. I would have to take it apart and see what's inside it, and then invite comments as to whether that's the right motor for a DC04. But yeah, this it's in pretty good condition actually for its age. It was very rough looking when I bought it, but it did clean up well. It was just really dirty. And the best thing about this is it's still got all its stickers on it. So, you know, it's pretty much got every one of the original stickers on that it would have come with when it was new, showing the brush control feature and this writing on the front here, which they omitted from later models. So, you know, it was my favourite colour scheme as well, this magenta and purple. And it was like, I think it was one of these charity models that they brought out, pretty much like the DC07 Click was, which was like that pink. I know that was cancer and leukemia in children. This one, I can't remember what it was, without having to look it all up. But it's even had all its tools with it when I picked it up. And for a DC04, that's actually quite rare. You know what I mean? People usually lose these, and they are the two-tone tools as well, like the pink, the purple and magenta. There's the crevice tool on the back there. So just having a quick look basically around the machine before we start taking it apart. And there we're saying Dyson used to like putting all his achievements on there. He was very proud. People do pick on James Dyson, I must admit I have in the past, but when you look back at this, and how it performed the other night. He really had got the cyclonic separation technology down to a T right from the word go, because I was really impressed with the way this separated the dirt out for a dual cyclone. Many may have copied him, but Dyson still does the original and the best. Okay, the quality of the handles and all that, a little bit flimsy these days, but these can be very brittle. So if you've got a DC04, you really do need to take care not to bang it about, because they are getting fragile now. So being careful is the operative word. So just a little bit of an introduction there to the DC04. I have been asked by somebody who commented on the channel, who keeps telling me do this, do that, do this, do a review of this, do a review, do updated review of that, do a big mess test on this, do a big mess test on that. It's all very well from keep saying it, so I'm going to keep setting these big mess tests up, you know. It'll all be going on the to-do list, so you put your suggestions on there, but I can't guarantee I'll be able to do things straight away. Being impatient, you know, you can't be impatient with me, because if you get impatient with me, all I'll do is I won't do it. I'm like Roger, I don't like it when people are rude on the comments. So, there we go. Let's take this to pieces then, shall we? I think what we'll do first, I will remove the ancillary components off it, which is the bin. We'll take that away. And then we'll take the filter out. So what I'll do, I'll focus the camera down onto the worktop, because we're going to be working down at this sort of level. And if necessary, I can get the camera off when I need to for closer up shots. So let's have it here, and again just check. There we go. There's nothing worse than when people are doing these things and they haven't got the camera focused in properly on what they're doing. It's there, you know what I mean? It's annoying. I know when I'm watching people take things to pieces, I think, oh, just move the camera up slightly, I can't quite see that. There we go. I'll keep checking every now and then just to make sure we are still in focus and everything. We'll take the filter out first. And with that, it's just a case of popping the filter up here, under there. It's not like the DC07 where it's under the front. That was a better design under there, because you didn't chew the case up trying to get it open. And though, yeah, that's maybe possibly the original filter with that I vacuumed up. Could do with another vacuum on the back there, I must admit, but that's just basically carbon dust. That's all that is. I think the camera's a bit low now, actually. Let's just put it back up slightly. There we go. Right, so that one's removed, and that one's removed, and then we'll remove our blockage port off the side. We'll take the cable off the back. I know you can't see that at the moment. What I'm doing basically, I'm just going to unwind the cable, and then I'm going to remove the hose, and I'm going to remove the handle. Yeah, okay. But don't forget with my videos as well, nothing is edited. Everything is live, how it happens. I'm not one of these people that runs everything through an editor afterwards and edits out all the bloopers. That's it. How you see it is exactly how it's happening. Right, so that's the handle removed. Now, I think we will remove the U-bend off the bottom. And then, I can't remember quite now, I think we just have to press this button in to get the hose off, don't we? There we go. So to remove the hose, there's a little button underneath the bottom here, so you press that button and push it up at the same time, and then the hose comes off. And that would be the original hose for the machine as well, because I would imagine that trying to get hold of one of these now would be nigh on impossible. There is no way that Dyson would sell the hose in that colour scheme anymore. So second-hand parts are really, it's the only way to go with these older machines, because I wouldn't have thought it would be very long until Dyson decide to completely stop supplying parts for the DC04 as well. Just making sure there that we've got that on the camera. Yeah, that's correct. So let's put the hose to one side. And that's the really good thing about old Dysons, is just how easy they were to strip down to the basic parts. Everything came off so easily. You could remove hoses just like that without any screwdrivers or anything. You could remove, you know, it was very, very simple to do. Very simple. So now it's looking a little bit less, there's a lot less on it now. We've removed the filter, the ancillary parts, the hose. I'm not removing the cable because there's no need to do that. That's another job within itself to do a cable, and I know Sam Watson has done a video on Beko 1987 showing how to replace a cable and a switch on a DC04. There's a special way of getting the switch out on them without breaking it, so he's done that on his channel. I think he's done motor replacements in these as well, but I thought, well, I might as well do one on my channel as well. So what we'll do now, we'll turn it upside down. Okie dokie. As in the other night, what I did was to remove first of all the brush roll housing and the internal hose. Let's just see if that's on camera. Yes, you can see from the side, can't you? So we'll undo our little screws. And remove those. Second time this has been off within the space of a week or so. This is absolutely filthy in here from when I did that big mess test the other night. It's absolutely filthy. So let's get the hose off the underneath again. Pull it off that end. We'll have to get the vacuum cleaner out as well, just to suck any of this excess dust up, because it's very dusty. Right, now this is where we need to get a little bit rough with it now, because we need to get that belt off the brush roll. And again, let's just check the camera. Yeah. So I'm going to basically lift it. I need to put this machine a little bit further towards the camera here as well, so it's not banging on the front of the washing machine while I'm doing this. So I might have to angle the camera down just a little bit more. There we go. So let's lift the brush roll, literally, and we're just going to have to twist it like this. If necessary, we can just pull the bearings out the middle and the actual spindle out of the middle. And there we have the brush roll out. Now I want to remove the... This is always, I hate doing this part because it's always, you always risk doing damage to it. But there we go. Sometimes it comes off easy, sometimes it's a bit more difficult. What I can find is if I stick my finger underneath, oops, I've just turned the washing machine on by mistake. Let me turn that off. if we put our finger underneath here like so, and then lever it like so out of the machine, it will snap out a little bit easier. I just remembered how I did that last time now. Put your finger underneath the front, push it up, and it will click out easier. Otherwise you'll be struggling with that, and it's very, very easy, like I said before, to snap these off here. They're quite fragile on these old machines, and if you snap that off there, you're going to be stuffed. And I mean stuffed, because it's unlikely you'll get another floor head this colour, unless it's a scrap one, off a scrap machine. Okay, let's just angle that back up slightly. Right. So now we're going to have our floor head off, and I'll hoover that out as well. I keep saying hoover myself. I should say I'll mealer it out with the mealer. It makes such a mess of machines, you know, when I have to do those big mess tests here. Well, I don't have to do them, but it's nice to do them though, isn't it? It's great fun with the big mess test. But it doesn't half make a mess of the machines, and I have to clean them all up again afterwards. Like I said, I have to clean all that bin out again after. So this won't be doing a big mess test again for quite some time. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to remove the clutch cover like I did the other night. And basically, it's the same process again. What we're going to do is we're going to undo these two screws. We can see it better in the light now. One there and one there, and the other one is just down that hole, okay, right down the bottom of there. Now again, this won't go down there, so I have to use this Allen key, and we can get down that hole like that. So the Allen key now is actually on the end of the screw, so we can undo the screw. Okay, that screw's now undone, and now I will undo and remove these two screws here on the front of the clutch cover. When you are removing the motor, you don't actually need to remove the clutch from the housing, so you don't have to pull the knob off on this occasion, nor remove the actual clutch from its housing. So there we go, that's those come off. And then we just literally, you sort of twiddle around with that enough and it will slide out eventually. It's getting the knack of it. When you've done it a few times, you'll learn how to do it. I'll leave the screws actually inside that housing so I know where they are. And we'll put that over there. Now we can see the clutch now in a better light. This is basically the stage we did the other night. But all I did then was to remove the clutch. Was first of all you would take your belt off the spindle here, which can be a little bit tricky, but it'll come off. So there's the spindle, and there's your clutch to motor belt there, and this is your clutch to brush roll belt here. If you were going to remove the clutch, all you would do was to remove the knob like I showed you in that other video. Literally, there's 2 points where you get the screwdriver, one underneath here and one underneath the other side, and that knob pops off that way. And then you grab hold of these belts and yank it hard and it will come out, that clutch, so you can just replace the clutch from that point. Now what we're going to do is we need to remove these two circlips here. So we've got one plastic circlip here and there's one on the other side. And what we're going to do is get a screwdriver, if I can find where it's gone. There it is. Broad bladed screwdriver. I'm not sure I'll be able to do this with just one hand. No, I won't. What I'm going to have to do is put the camera back up on the top. So I'll show you on this side, and then I'll do exactly the same on that side. we're going to pop these circlips off basically. I might need a smaller screwdriver than that. Okay, so that's one off, very easy. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. Pop the other circlip off like so. This here is your, this is the floor head. This is what stops the floor head from falling down basically. And that there should always be lubricated. That's like the upright lock mechanism, that part there, just by the way, in case people are wondering what that part is. So what we're going to do now is we are going to remove the actual floor head completely from the machine. And what I will do to do that, I will first of all pull it outwards away from the machine here, and then the same on the other side as well. Again, pull it outwards very carefully so you don't snap it off, lift it up and remove that completely from the machine. So you're putting your fingers underneath there and there, pull it outwards and remove from the machine. Okay, so that removes our floor head. This might be a 3-part video, by the way, the way we're going, so it could be quite an involved video, this one. Right, from this point, let's see. I think all the work we need to do now is going to involve turning the machine back over again. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to split the motor casing. So, in order to split the motor casing, we're going to have to remove, if I can remember rightly, there are a lot of Torx screws that are one here, there's one here. I don't think these two here actually are necessarily to be removed. It's this one, there's one in there as well, there, and there's one here, and this is different from the DC07 because on the DC07 you would have your pre-motor filter here, so you wouldn't be having to remove that or that. It would simply be the other type of motor screws. I will do a DC07 strip down in due course. This one, as I say, concentrates on the DC04, so let's remove those screws now. See if I can get it a bit closer. So we're going to take out that one. This one. Again, these are all Torx T15s, these are. So you'll need a T15, either a T15 Allen Key or a T15 screwdriver. This is actually a screwdriver with the T15 hex bit on the end. Okay, it's part of a toolkit, that one is. I'm going to take that one out of there, and then we've got this one under here. This one's a little bit more tricky to get to, so I think with this one we'll need the Allen key in there, because the last thing you want to be doing is trying to struggle with something that won't go in quite right and take the head off the screw. So that one's undone. There's one down underneath here. Okay. And then there are two more, one here and one here. So we will take those ones out as well. That's one. And that's two. Right. That's one screw, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one underneath here which I can't quite pull out yet, and there's one in here, so 6 with that. So then we should be able to now, did I or did I not? Yeah, I've forgotten one. There's one there as well. So there's one just underneath here, look. So that one there. So it looks like there's a total of 8 screws that you need to take out. Right. And then, let's just focus back out again slightly. We should be able to lift the motor housing away from the machine. And you'll feel the motor housing coming away with this. Okay, so that we get that situation happening. So the ducting will come off separately, and that has a little rubber sealing ring that goes around the top there, and that basically goes into there. It'll have this part which is separate. Remove the screw from there. It's the last thing I want to do is dropping screws on the floor. Just lay it down on its back. Remove that part, which will come away separately. And then this is your motor bucket here. Okay. So what we can see there is that's basically the spine of the machine, which has been stripped down of the motor housing now. So we can turn this the other way round so it's out of the way and bring the motor bucket forwards. So I just clear myself some space, put this down on here. Dyson parts everywhere. So that will conclude the first part of the stripping down video, and here we can see what we're going to be doing next is basically stripping down the motor housing with the motor inside, and that will be continued in part 2. So part 2 will be able to be found on my channel immediately preceding this one in the timeline, and I will see you in the next part.